I walk through. Yeah. I got sauce too. Came with the gang, chopper rain, get a up. Shine. When I walk through. Yeah, she fine. Then who brought you? Twins in the bins once again.
What's up? Good afternoon, good evening. Sorry we started a little bit later than expected today. Had some technical difficulties, and apparently I can't speak either. But we're here now. Thank you all for joining us again for another week of the See Us podcast. This is where we explore our own narratives. We amplify our narratives because mainstream media is not going to do that. Today's episode is going to be super interesting and informal and informational. But before we get started, I did want to note that one of our previous episodes, there was a mentioning of a person's name who we do not have the consent for their name to be mentioned. So we did pull that episode down. We're now working on editing that video and deciding if we're going to put it back up or not. But at the moment it is down. We do want to apologize to that person for their name having been mentioned, not by myself or our producer, but sometimes that does happen. And we want to make sure that we're not causing harm in the process of trying to amplify voices and protect our community. So just wanted to make note of that. And with that, as a disclaimer, the views and opinions voiced by our guests on the CS podcast may not reflect the views and opinions of the Narrative Justice. As we do during every episode, we honor Leroy Powell. If you are unfamiliar, Leroy was 15 years old in 2014. He was a witness to an attempted murder turned infanticide. He did the right thing, and he, gave a witness statement. And our local media, just about all of them, decided that they were going to play his witness statement during the 11 o'clock news because they saw it during the preliminary hearing. This child, 15 years old, was completely visible, he and his mother. They made no attempt to protect his identity, and he was killed several days later. This is a reminder that local media does absolutely have power and oftentimes impact our communities in a very negative way. So it is on us to hold them accountable always, 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 because it is our lives and our deaths on their hands. As a reminder, it only takes 25% of the community for change to occur. Don't think that your voice isn't big enough, that you are not strong enough, that you need everybody on your side to make change happen. That's not the case. It's never the case. Matter of fact, our guest today is proof of that. I'm excited to have this young lady on here, firecracker, of a person, of a human being, and definitely, holding this idea of you don't need everybody. You don't need everybody to go along. When you know something is wrong, do what you can do. It could be you by yourself, you and your cousin, you and your brother, you and your baby sister, whoever it is, or whatever it is. But if you see problems happening, when you see wrong being done, step out and do what you know to do. As a reminder, and it is coming to a close soon, but the rent relief program is going on until December. So if you're someone who is having a hard time paying rent or utilities, you can still apply for the rent relief program. You can actually apply for up to 15 months. So even if you are months and months behind and the program is ending in December, you can apply for those back months up into 15 months worth of rent. You can go on covidrentrelief.alleghenycounty.us, or you can come to the drop-in center. I've been saying, I'm gonna have to hold myself accountable. I've been saying 337 Fifth Avenue this whole time. It's actually 335 Fifth Avenue. It's in the same building. It's right next door. And there's a sign for us. but it's definitely right next door. 337 is probation office. We're not in that office. My bad. I don't know why I've been saying it wrong all of this time. But anyway, it's 335 Fifth Avenue. We're running the drop-in center. So if you don't have access to a computer, or if you want a little extra help, or if you just, want some company, you can come and check us out Monday through Friday. Most days we're open 10 to 6. On Thursdays, it's 12 to 8. Thursdays is 12 to 8. The drop-in center in McKeesport is open 12 to 8 on Thursdays. So if you are calling, texting, knocking on the door, we're not answering. First of all, we ain't there, and I'm not picking up the phone until 12. 12, darling, 12. So anyway, and there's also a little food pantry and a free store in there. So feel free to come through, grab whatever you want. It's a good time. So I will end my updates. I'll end my updates for today there so we can get started. So I am super excited to have Miss Allyson Calloway with us today. What's going on, Allyson? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. First of all, I really appreciate you agreeing to come on to the show. When I heard about your story, and then as we got a chance to talk a little bit more, I got more and more intrigued by you, and also just very thankful about the way that you've been carrying yourself, not only for yourself, but also for the needs and safety of our community, right? Our greater community. So I appreciate that in you. So first thing I want to ask you is, where are you from?
I am from Pitcairn, PA.
Okay, word. Born and raised?
I'm actually born in a small town across the bridge, Wall, PA, but majority over here for a long time now.
Okay, word up. And I know you have a business. Can you tell us what it is that you do?
Yes, ma'am. I print clothing. I own a company called Self Made, and pretty much whether we agree with whatever you're printing on a shirt or whatever you want made custom, whether it be ashtrays, posters for your wall, clothing like I have on, hats. We'll print it and get it out to you. Small Black business, it definitely comes support. We could use the love right now.
Word. What's the address?
We are at 315 Center Avenue, and that's in Pitcairn.
What's Pitcairn zip?
15140.
Okay, I'm from the north side. I don't know anything outside of the north side.
I said, excuse me.
What's
213.
That?
It's 213 Center Avenue. I just said that all backwards. I'm messing up numbers too.
It's all good. All right. So let's start by where does this story start for you? This engagement with Robert Gowans, the person who murdered Romir Talley. We'll get into that in a little bit. But where does this start for you specifically?
So, a couple years ago, after the situation had happened, he had already been working here in my neighborhood. And I ended up having a call to my home years ago. And this was probably, I'd say, 2-3 months after Romir had got killed. And the cop that showed up at the door was Gowans. And that's how it started. Once I seen who it was, I just couldn't believe it. And I'm not keeping this to myself. I'm telling you, this ain't no way. So that's originally how it started.
Now, was he an employee of Pitcairn Police, or was he just out there?
No, he was a Pitcairn police officer.
Okay, so he was at Pitcairn and Wilkinsburg?
Yeah, I guess he was doing, because this is a very small town. None of these police officers are full time. Well, they weren't at the time because we were very small. So this town was kind of just building its little force or whatever. And so, yeah, everything was kind of, I guess, however they wanted to do it.
Gotcha. That makes sense because, a lot of small towns, they will have officers who work multiple, little areas or whatever because they just don't have a lot of work because they're so small.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that makes sense. So a few months after Robert Gowans murdered Romir, you had a call and he's the person that showed up and you recognized him, for who he was. And so you made it known that you didn't want him there, or who he is and where he was working.
Yeah, absolutely not. And then on top of that, it was nighttime when I had made the call. You know what I'm saying? So I instantly felt unsafe when the police got to my house. If that's a problem.
Oh, yeah, like to feel unsafe when the police showed up, like wild. Like that is a wild reality that we live. And it's not funny, it's like funny, we'll laugh at it. Like not ha funny, it's just wild.
Exactly. It's like the irony.
Yeah, exactly. And so how did you alert folks? Did you like call down to the precinct or whatever it is and like, yo, don't send him no more? Or like, did you let people know? Like, were you handing out flyers?
So what happened was I ended up reaching out to some people on social media that I knew were like, you know, they want to know where Gowans was at, where he works. You know, they were getting justice for that young man. You know what I mean? So I knew like I've been reading and following the articles at the time. You know what I mean? So I reached out to somebody on social media and I told him, I said, Gowans works in my neighborhood. He showed up at my house. I can like, this is 100% verified with my own eyes. Like you could trust me, bro. 100. And they made a big status about it. And he disappeared from Pitcairn. After like this whole thing came out on social media, he disappeared. And then randomly a couple months later, he appeared in Penn Hills. He reappeared in Penn Hills.
Mm-hmm. And that we got word of. You know, shout out to one of the people who was running for mayor in Wilkinsburg, who I think should have won. And that's how we got word that he was moving to Penn Hills, and you know, made sure that didn't happen. So after, you know, like you noticed that he was in Pitcairn, like you made folks aware of it. You know, like the community was aware of it. Pitcairn was put on notice that we are not okay with this. And then all of a sudden he was no longer in Pitcairn. And then shortly after that, that's when he ended up in Penn Hills. And we all know that, you know, he was shortly removed from there as well. And then from there, it would seem that he was then moved to Monroeville as an EMT worker.
So Monroeville has a fire department that services as an EMT station as well. It's like a dual station. So they're firemen and they're EMT. That they come out the same door.
Okay, and that's where he's currently working.
Mm-hmm.
And then how did you come across that information?
So we used to have an ambulance service out here. And then they got rid of it. They defunded our ambulance service. So we don't have an ambulance down here in Pitcairn no more. So my daughter, a journey, she is a single ventricle heart child. And she needs a heart transplant. And she just has a lot of health stuff going on. So we're not no strangers to dial at 911. Like she has strokes, she has seizures, you know, we have to get the children. We know the drill. So my daughter was acting funny, she was turning blue, so I dialed 911. And when they got here, one of the ambulance workers, they came with the police. They were here with the police. But one of the ambulance workers was like standing really, really far back, like back by the truck, like he didn't want to be bothered. Off, like I was a problem. And it just drew attention to him. The fact that you are a first responder and you are last, and now I'm looking. Because I feel like my baby is priority. So I felt like immediately it should be like, oh, hey, look that. So when I see you hanging back looking like you're checking tire pressure and stuff, you know, now my eyes are going to focus on you. So he came over as I was staring at him and he said, let me see the baby. And at this point, his mask was pulled up all the way up to like where his eyes, when you blink, it was moving the mask. So he said, let me see your baby. And I stared at him for a second. And I said, you're Officer Gowans. And he had his little flannel on, but he put something over his tag where his name was. there wasn't nothing there. He had like a sticky, it looked like a little piece of like medical tape. Like it was like a sticky something. It was over his name. And I said, you're Officer Gowans, bro. I don't need no name badge to know who you is. And he said, you don't know what you're talking about, Miss Calloway. Boy, I didn't even introduce myself yet. But you know my last name. You know who I am. And soon as that happened, the police, they got weird because I took my baby back. I said, I'm not getting in this ambulance with this man. Like doing a killer. That's what I said. Not getting in the ambulance with a killer. Anything can happen to me or my child in between the point of here in Pitcairn to a 45-minute drive to Children's Hospital. We are touching Greensburg over here. This is a distance. This isn't like right up the street, right around the corner. This is a long ride. And we're passing a lot of neighborhoods. So I told him, I said, he's not touching my baby. I'm not getting in the car. I told my mom, you're not getting in the car neither. Like, you're not going either. And I redialed 911. And while I was waiting for 911, they're outside cracking jokes on me, talking about a mom of the year. You better hope something don't happen to your baby. That's why you should just let me help her. And I slammed the door right in her face. I was like, yeah, you know where you could go. Slammed the door, and I waited for another ambulance service to come.
Wow. Wow. First of all, I'm stuck on the fact that he had his badge covered, so you couldn't see his name.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain that they're not supposed to do that. Like,
I'm 100% sure that they're not supposed to do that. The other guy didn't have his covered up.
Yeah, like I'm sure that there's a reason why they have badges. In the first So covering them up is not a thing that they're supposed to do.
Like, I'm supposed to know your name. How am I supposed to know who's aiding my child? You know her social. Why can't I know your name?
Right. And then I'm also thinking like knowing this part of your story, like I could not help but to think of all the people who were in some sort of civil servant vehicle, like, ambulance or a paddy wagon or whatever, police car, and they didn't make it to their destination. And, this is an ambulance, this is your child going to, but like just the fear of this person who we know to be a murderer, like like being.
Let me tell you something. It's funny that you even mentioned that, It's funny that you say that, like people who get in the back of ambulances and don't make it to their destination. Because if people look hard enough, if they utilize Google and they utilize, some things to look into where I'm at, you'll start to do math, and it's really, really easy. It's really, really easy. I just was banned off social media for almost 15 days because I posted a video of our first responders not helping a young man who was shot as I screamed for over 15 minutes and begged for help. And the police ran down on me at my store about my video like I was the criminal for posting it.
Wow. And this was a person who was shot and they weren't being serviced?
He died. He died. And what I found ironic was because I never seen nothing like that before, like I'm not exposed to that kind of a life to where, I'm used to just directly see gun violence so close to me because we were outside of my job. This happened outside of my job. And I had a little bit of trouble sleeping, so I was like, just looking up the young man, and I was following the news story, and I couldn't help but notice that as I was out here, screaming and yelling, being upset that nobody would help me, and there was other people outside screaming that they wouldn't help. One of the articles for the news says that the young man was taken to the hospital and he died at the hospital. That was one of the worst days of my life, and I remember that ambulance never went to the hospital. It stayed right here. And that's why they ran down on me about the video. You didn't go nowhere. Y'all are lying.
So is the video gone? Was it forced down? It's still up?
No. Before they could take it, they did snatch the video, but luckily whoever was watching, I had probably like 6K viewers at the time. The video was long. People started screen recording it, saying like they're going to take it down. Y'all record it, you know, like. And so after it had got taken down and I said something on social media, everyone started to send me my own video. So it wasn't gone. And even at one point on my Facebook Live, I went live because the police were looking for me, probably like 10 deep, about that video that I put on Facebook. Riding around the neighborhood, running in places looking for me to talk to me about a video. Why do y'all need 10 police officers to talk to me?
So where's the video now? Do you still have it up, or you just have it in your?
I have it. I didn't post it out of respect for the young man's family. I didn't post it, and that's kind of what scares me the most about that situation. Like, I know what I saw. As a first person, I know what I saw. I know what happened. The family is so hurt about losing a loved one that the right questions aren't, that it's not being brought up. I don't even know like the best way to word it. It's just not being brought up because bringing it up just hurts too much. But that is a fact on what happened. And, you know, I would have never been there to see that happen if our local code enforcement and them weren't in front of my job trying to shut us down. And I was outside speaking with them when the shooting happened. They were searching my job.
For what?
They said they got a report. They said they got a report that I was at my job selling drugs, that there was people living there. There was loud music, and dogs and parties. So they knocked on my door while I had customers leaving out with shirts, demanding that I open my business door. And I have two businesses. I don't think I have a flip button on my phone, but I could kind of show you guys.
I don't know
It's okay, because I'm sitting in my car, but I'm right in front of both of my jobs.
Oh, got you.
So this right here is one of my companies. And that red building right here is my other company.
And what's the other one?
It's the same thing. We just have like a lot of storage, a lot of t-shirts, a lot of glitter, a lot of glue. I am a Joanne Fabrics freak. So I have crafted myself out of a home. But so they pretty much came to one of my businesses and demanded that I open the door to my second business across the street. Now, I knew that what they were saying was false.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have nothing to hide. I'm not scared of nobody. I said, you know, I'm going to open the door just because. And I opened the door for them, and they went in there and they searched it, and they went to the bottom floor to the top floor, went all through it, and then came down looking dumb, talking about something. I'm sorry.
Mm. We have a video of the police at your business that I'm gonna share right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
And you can tell us about this video here.
When the police think they're gonna intimidate you by parking and blocking the door to your glass business.
Now, in that video, the police were parked on the sidewalk, it looked like, in front of the door to your business. What was going on there?
They do that I'd say like every other day. when certain police officers are on who were co-workers of Officer Gowans, when certain ones are on, you know, all of a sudden let me remind y'all that I only have one door to get out of my job. Can we say fire hazard? I cannot open my door.
And one more time for y'all so y'all can see it, because it's short videos, but I want y'all to look at where the police car is and where her door is.
When the police think they're gonna intimidate you by parking and blocking the door to your black business.
That's wild. I just wanted to make sure that y'all saw that they were parked on the sidewalk directly in front of her door.
And there's plenty parking. There's plenty of appropriate parking. I'm actually parked across the street with multiple parking spots on where people are supposed to park.
Oh, so it's like it ain't packed out here. Like you always got somewhere to park out there, huh?
No.
So when did all of this start? The parking on the sidewalk, the busting into your job, to chasing you down for videos. When did all this stuff get started for you?
Okay, so what happened was I started a petition. I don't know if I ever have been on this site. It's called change.org. Okay, I've been out here for so long that I've seen some of the most fluey behavior ever witnessed by a citizen. So I'm like, look, I don't care who's bad. I'm putting a petition on change.org. We need somebody to come look at what the neighborhood gets into, because everything out here is owned by them. Everything. The police, like one of the requirements for them to police here is they have to be a full-time resident. Number one. Number two, this is a family town. So everybody is related. And I mean really related, not fake related. Everybody has like the same last name. Related. So with that being said, and I actually didn't know this until just recently when a police officer laughed at my sick child on social media. I figured this out all on my own. But so pretty much his co-workers were laughing at the status that I was talking about Gowans. From that, I went and looked at, that's how I found all these Facebook pages, and I started to like put these pieces together of why they were blocking my door. Like now I'm seeing pictures of them together. These are the same people that are blocking my door. They're searching my job with no warrant, searching my home on my daughter's birthday, won't give me a warrant, just gonna ruin our birthday party. These are like in the pictures, it's all the same group. So I realized once I started talking about Gowans, that was their best friend or whatever. They're on the buddy boy system. That's what happened. What happened is they're on the buddy boy system, and I'm the target now because I don't want him out here.
So what happened? What happened with these charges? Now I want to because we played the video at the beginning, but you are really good with keeping record of what's going on, and so I'm gonna play this video. Like if you caught the very, very beginning of the show, you would have seen the video. But if you didn't know the context of it, we're about to get into that now. But I'm gonna play it one more time so that y'all can see it.
When I walk through, when I walk through, when I walk through, when I walk through, I got sauce too. Came with the gang, chopper rain, get a up, shine. When I walk through, yeah, she found it. Who brought you? Twins in the bins once again.
How that video feels so good.
I get a kick out of that video, and also I'm so proud of you for doing that. But tell us, like, what was going on there? Like, what circumstance was that in relation to?
Okay, so pretty much they don't really want my business here no more because I don't know how to be quiet and I don't know how to shut up. They just want me to leave. But pretty much what happened was literally I got set up. Like, that is the nicest. I literally got set up. Like, randomly, I'm in my job, and outside of my job, it's like 15-minute parking. There's signs and everything. I'd be up till like 3, 4, 5 in the morning sewing. So I'm in there by myself, being a scaredy cat. First of all, this ain't the best neighborhood. So I'm looking out my store window sewing, and I'm like, why is this car sitting here? Like, I'm getting nervous. So I go on Facebook Live. Facebook Live is my answer to everything, okay? Because they will make you believe that I didn't see what I saw. So I am a Facebook Live queen. So I get on Facebook Live and I start talking to Facebook Live, and I'm like, y'all, look at this car. It's 15-minute parking, and they've been here for 40. And they ain't even got out yet. Windows is tinted. It just looked at sus. It looked at like real sus. So I went out there on video and I said, excuse me, are you okay? Is there something that I can help you with? And the man rolls the window down, and it's a cop. And I said, why are you sitting in front of my business? The cop says, I can do what I want. So I said, ooh, time to go. So and it was really like 3, 4, it was early in the morning. Like, there wasn't nobody outside. Not the place to be arguing. Not. So I said, all right, abort mission. I goes to the back of the car with my camera, and I takes a video of the license plate so the whole Facebook Live can see it. And I go back in my job. I called my mom and I said, Mom, I'm coming up. I'm coming home. I'm scared. There's something weird going on outside. I leave. I go home. The next day, I'm at Joanne Fabrics trying to live my best life. And my friend calls me and she's like, girl, the police got your job surrounded. There's like 20 police out here. They got guns and everything. So I'm like, well, now I'm not coming. Like way to uninvite me, because I didn't know what was happening at this point. So I call the police to find out what the police is doing at my job. And I call them and they tell me, no one's at your job. There's no police there. And I said, listen, the whole neighborhood is not going to lie about the police being at my job. This is a little town. They were really excited about all this police activity. So it was like they were talking about it. They said, well, you got to figure it out for yourself. So I go look myself up on the PA docket app. And it's like this little app where you can see, charges or anything that's going on. And it says a warrant for my arrest. I ain't no Georgia peach. So when I first seen warrant for my arrest, I was like, I don't be paying all my fines on time. My speeding tickets is definitely overdue. So I definitely thought when I originally seen it, it was about to be something we could just, hey, get it about the way. I seen charges for hindering prosecution, tampering with evidence. I just seen like straight felonious charges. And I'm like, wait, when? So I decide, I said, well, look, I tell Facebook Live, I said, look, y'all, I'm going to turn myself in. I tell Facebook Live where I'm turning myself in at. Turn myself in on live. I called the police and told them what time I was turning myself in at. And I came outside. When I came outside, they just swerved me. They arrested me. They took me down to the station. They left me there. They just left me there. They were trying to make me sleepy, but whatever. They left me there, and they pretty much were just trying to get me to just lie on people. They wanted me to straight lie on people. And they said, well, you can either tell us some stuff about what be going on around here, or you're going to go to jail for a long time. And I said, well, could you tell me what I'm going to jail for? And he said, there was a shooting that happened, and you were there, and you took evidence from there. Well, once again, this is a small town, and in this isolated police station is not the place to be arguing. So all I could do is, this is false. If I'm going to jail, go ahead and take me to jail. I don't got nothing. It's a wrap for at this point. Like, y'all clearly have made up what you made up. There's nothing I can do, and I don't want to get hurt in here arguing with y'all. So take me to jail. Feel way more comfortable down at the county. No offense. So I go down there. Middle of COVID, I just had a baby, my heart patient daughter. And so So like my mom had to come get my baby and stuff. And I went to jail and I got out and I kind of pieced together. The police didn't know that the inside of my job is on video. That's the problem. So they did a lot of lying and a lot of hole digging. And I'm on 24-hour surveillance inside of my job. And because I'm the only one who works here, I'm always inside of my job. So if you say that I was somewhere, I can easily prove that I was not. They offered me deals on deals on deals. This has been, I got charged a year ago. So they've continued it. They've offered me deals. They've refused to give me my business license for my job because I was facing charges. Not guilty of charges, facing charges. Not guilty, facing. And
did you say, because the audio is going in and out a little bit, you said they was offering you deals? Mm-hmm.
They was offering me deals. They were like, oh, we feel so bad for your daughter and we don't want you to have to be away from her and we don't want to ruin your life and just take this deal. But really what people didn't realize is I knew that this was about more than the deal. The problem was with that, this was my first year opening my business out. Inside of one of the ordinances, if you get found guilty of a crime, they have the right to not let you live out here anymore because it's privately owned. Our light company is privately owned. Okay? They can shut your lights off whenever they feel. You cannot call the PUC. They are not ordained or commissioned by the PUC. They do what they want because they pop it.
Wow.
So I knew that when they wanted me to take this deal, that would mean me admitting to some form of guilt so that they could literally snatch my little business that I just built and can say, this is why she can't be here. She got to go. See, I told you she was the bad guy. You know, I knew what it was. So won't no deals be taken because I know I didn't do anything wrong. If you're going to whoop me for what I did. Don't whoop me for what I didn't do or what you make up about me. That was the problem. So I couldn't afford no lawyer.
You said
I didn't want the public. Huh?
You said you couldn't afford an attorney?
No, I couldn't. I couldn't afford an attorney. I could barely afford my business at that point. Like, so my lights are currently off at my business because it's been such a hardship this year because I've used this year to defend myself, you know? So I'm, you know, back to getting it out the mud again, which I don't mind. Surely I'm proud. Like, I don't mind at all. But, you know, it's a hardship. I couldn't afford an attorney. When I was released from jail, I was not allowed to be in contact with my daughter, who I had just had. Because I was in Allegheny County Jail and they had that bad COVID outbreak, my daughter was waiting for a heart transplant. And they couldn't take the risk of me possibly have contracted something while I was at Allegheny County Jail. So I wasn't permitted to see her for 30 days. Like I had to, like somebody else had to care for her. So I missed one of her open heart surgeries because I wasn't permitted to go. And because I had to keep going. It was a problem, you know. So I got them charges. I couldn't afford this lawyer or whatever. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to prove it myself.
I'm sorry, the audio went out a little bit. What's that last part you said?
I couldn't afford a lawyer, so I decided to do it myself. You know, like I knew I definitely didn't want a public defender. I didn't want that. So I did it myself. And it was hard because a lot of times the judge would keep asking me, like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, do you want to take more time? Do you want to consult? Do you need more time? I didn't have no more time to give. Like, my daughter is sick. My business is going down the drain. This is all the money I have saved in my whole life. And it's like I was watching it get taken from me because I didn't know how to shut up. If I would have let Gowans mind his business, none of this would be happening. None of it. When I went, and I still don't even understand how, when I just was on trial for those crimes that they said that I committed, an officer got caught lying on stand and nothing happened to him except the fact that that's what caused me to get found not guilty. But isn't lying on stand a crime?
What did he say?
So the night the incident happened, remember how I told you I seen that car sitting outside my job? They said that they never had contact with me that night. They said that I was on the run. This is written on my papers. It says that they watched me leave my job and throw evidence in a dumpster and run. So because I was my own lawyer, I got to ask my own questions because I know y'all sound stupid. So he said he never made contact with me. We never spoke about anything. And I said, you never came to my job. You never spoke to me? Never? And he's like, I said what I said. I said, I never spoke to you. And I asked for permission to play my video in court. It got over, I forget what it's called, but they tried to not allow me to play the video. So there's this thing called the wiretap law. This is another way they try to get Black people to not really be able to tell the truth. Because if we record it, technically, we can actually go to jail for it. Like in real life, we can really go to jail for it. It's a real thing. Okay, it's called the wiretap law. So they pretty much didn't want me to play it because I did not ask for consent to record.
Now, y'all were outside though, right? Well, you were outside.
He was outside. Yeah, I was standing in my doorway when I started the video, which is actually what I argued.
Mm-hmm. Because
it actually doesn't. You don't have an expectation of privacy outside, sir.
Exactly. It's only in private on private grounds where you have to ask for consent. But when you're outside, you're outside. That's actually.
If you want privacy, go to the bathroom.
That's actually what happened. A quick aside. Some years ago, if y'all remember the young man who recorded the principal at Woodland Hills High School, threatening to knock his teeth down his throat and all that other stuff. And the little boy recorded him, and he's been telling, his parents and everybody else that this principal is wild, and nobody believed him because, you just believe the adult. And then he had actual proof, which shifted the whole dynamic of the school. But what happened is that child was then charged with felony felony charges for wiretap, laws. And I think he was forced to take a plea deal, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
You're right on that.
Your memory serves you correct.
Mm.
And that's a real thing. But like I said, you was outside and I was on my property, technically speaking. My job, God's outside. So nothing belongs to them at this point in the conversation. It's not yours. So I wasn't allowed to play the video, but I played the audio. And I asked the officer, could he identify the voice in the audio? He said, it's me. So if it's you, then what the? And he still is working. He is still a cop. I still have court with him again. Like, this is crazy. They literally just keep throwing every charge I beat. They throw me some more. I just got 4 new charges in the last 30 days.
For what?
One, because my 6-year-old informed me that the police were taking the trash off of our back porch. And I asked her how she knew the police were taking her trash, and she said she could see a light on their shirt. She's talking about the the body cam. So instead of them having to scare my children, I chose to drive my trash to the police station. It was inside of bags, though. There was no littering involved. I drove them the bags. And then after I beat them in this court case with the felonies, all these felonies, I get home and I have my business license is taped to my door. Now, remind you, I've already been here for a year. I've been paid my taxes. I've been deserved my business license. They were just holding it because they thought I was going to take a deal.
So you got your license.
The day I got found not guilty, I got my license. The day. So, but when I opened the door all the way, I had mail. And it was a new set of charges for taking my trash to the police station. One of them that's like trespassing on government property.
Isn't it public property?
It is.
One side of it? Well, hold on. Let me not, because these are active charges, so let me chill.
Yeah, it is. I know. It is. This is all common sense things, but they know this. They know that these are things that I'm going to get thrown out. I just got charges thrown out last week against me.
But that has to be like time consuming, like money I'm sure is involved one way or the other, like takes you away from your kids. Like this is draining all of your, and I'm sure that's the point, the intention is to stress you to the point where you give up.
That's the point. And as much as it sucks, like my car, this is like where I sleep. I do my thing. I go in my friend's house. She lets me make my clothes and stuff and put them back in my job so that I can still make a couple dollars. They are wearing me out. It is working. They're not wearing my spirit out. Like, I'm not like tired of playing with them. Like, I'm not tired, but my resources are tired. That's why I don't have electricity. Like, I have to make sure that I have money to get back and forth for my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to make sure I pay the lights here in my apartment because she's on equipment. And, even though they say you're not supposed to turn things off on sick children, they turn my kids' lights off all the time, knowing daggone well my daughter's on monitors and oxygen. I've had to go down there and beg them to turn it back on when my daughter's oxygen has hit below 30%. I've had to beg. But, remember y'all had that thing. Y'all were protected. You remember they weren't allowed to turn nobody's stuff off? That didn't apply to us because our power is privately owned.
Wow.
So they were able to just do it. It's just, I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. Like, it sucks. I do. But I'm still telling. I don't care because now y'all got me running these laps. Well, then I'm about to show you Lisa Leslie. I'm about to show you all the great athletes that then came before me because today I got time.
I gotta say, I just absolutely appreciate your spirit, your tenacity, your will, your grit to move forward. Because it's not hard for someone to say, you know what, cool, like I ain't trying to get into this with y'all, or like I ain't going to say nothing because I ain't trying to do all of this. Like you said yourself, that because you spoke up about Gowans, floating through all these little civil servant positions, and it's funny to me that he keeps finding positions in different police departments or in other helping capacities where literally it's life or death. He keeps finding his way in these places, and we're expected to feel safe, or not even that we're expected to feel safe. We're just expected to deal with it, And so the fact that you spoke up, and continue to speak up, that says a lot about your character as a human being, right? Because we know he's not a safe person. We know he's literally a murderer, and and I don't necessarily see them stopping what they're doing unless they are stopped from doing it. So I'm wondering, off the top of your head, and we have a lot of folks asking about what is your Cash App? First, I'm going to ask you, do you have a Cash App or Venmo or some sort of direct pay platform? You're muted, love.
I only have a Cash App. Just guess because it just works easier, and I don't know. Making other stuff is just too much time consuming, but I do have a cash app.
What is it?
It is mom MOM 0132.
That was mom 0132.
Mm-hmm. Because I have 3 kids. So that's where that came from. But with that being said, and I think and it brings up another issue, which is why I'm kind of glad I got the chance to speak on this. Because with all this, y'all have to remember children, youth, and families. Okay. Y'all have to remember that they will make you this bad, bad, bad person. And then use children, youth, and families to make a nightmare even worse.
Mm.
So in the midst of me being all these things, I have dealt with children, youth, and families coming to my home probably 75 times in the last year. From anonymous calls, not even people who identify, anonymous. Ever since I did this, they have anonymously been in my life. They've never opened up no case on me because there's nothing to open, but they keep coming back because it's the law. They have to. Every time a call comes, they have to do their job because God forbid something really happened to a child. And that's why I'm not mad at them for keep coming. You know what I'm saying? It just goes to show, like, these are the reasons why, like, my mental health was shot, And then you got police on social media laughing at my child. Like I said, I'm no Georgia Peach. I swear. Like, I have gotten into it, but that's why I opened my business, because my daughter was sick and I wanted to do better. There's nothing wrong with wanting to change. I can openly admit that I was not the best individual, but I'm a work in progress and I deserve the right to change. I don't always have to be a bad guy. Things make people change. Life makes people change. Watching my daughter fight death has made me change. It's like, it's kind of just, I feel like, but when you are laughing at my child on social media and you are a police officer and I have to come in contact with you, I feel like you are egging on behavior, that you're trying to paint a picture of the way that certain people act. And it's not fair. It's not fair that they can poke and poke and poke and ruin lives. But if I do 10% less, then I'm charged. I'm fighting a legal case. I'm getting my fingerprints taken, and not for a good job. Like, it's offensive. And I'm like, you're quick to talk about me when I got charged. But when I got found innocent, did y'all talk about that?
I think you hit on a lot just now, like, not only in your specific circumstance, but how, like, labels and narrative is weaponized to harm people, right? Like, that's the whole reason why we even have this show, is because folks are manipulating narrative, are painting like violent pictures of people in order to bury them, to destroy them, to hurt, harm, to exploit. Happens all of the time. Speaking about, like, as you were talking about CYF being called 11 times, anonymously, reminds me of Robert Gowans calling the store owner where his Romir's mural was painted, and harassed him and called down to, the city and had that mural removed. Like, that's the type of violent stuff that the police get away with and hide behind the same system that's supposed to protect us, right? Like, but we're supposed to just like, oh, all right, well, we'll just go along with it and we trust you. But when we trust you,
everything's supposed to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be okay.
When we trust you, we die. When we go along with the process, we die. Like, like that's just what it is. Like, it's like the only time that we're safe really is when we speak out. But even then, it's still a fight, right? Like, clearly, to your own story right now, your own testament right now, it's still a fight. But if you didn't fight, like, I don't even want to think about where you would be right now if you did not fight for yourself.
And my thing with Gowans, my whole beef is, it is about him taking an innocent life. But my problem is that there's young men. I look at my brother looks like Romir. My neighbor's son looks like Romir. The boy across the street looks like Romir. I see a lot of them out here. And I have been out here for 12 years. I have watched these young men grow up. I've watched them make the wrong choices and then start making right choices, make right choices, and then make wrong choices. Okay. I've watched them. But just like me, someone who had a chance to change, it don't be too late for them. And nobody has the right to rob anybody of any opportunity. So with all these young men who fit the description, I'm scared for them. And if I don't feel like you can make an impartial decision, then as someone who pays their taxes, then I should have the right to say that out loud without feeling like I'm just talking out the side of my neck.
Absolutely. And while we're on it, like just as a reminder, we found out that Gowans absolutely knew that he was following the wrong person because the 911 operator told him as much, and he continued to pursue him. He did it anyway. And so like at that point, it wasn't him, a mistaken identity. It wasn't Romir was doing something illegal or caused to be chased down, hunted down. He was just being hunted by Robert Gowans. That's just what happened. That's just what happened. Like this is an actual murderer here that's just floating through Allegheny County from, police department to police department, fire department, EMT, like just floating through, and everyone's acting like he's not a violent person. And it's okay, but maybe it's because he's violent towards Black people, and that's the problem.
If you look though, it was honestly at one point out here, we had a literal bad batch. We had a literal bad batch. And when I say that, I was quiet for long enough. Before I spoke on Gowans, there was plenty of things that I should have spoke on. But because I wanted to live a peaceful and quiet life, and I didn't want my kids to have no problems, and I didn't want nobody bothering me, I minded my business. And that was not the right thing to do. A hard decision, yeah, but it wasn't the right thing to do. But even with that being said, even when previously I've tried to speak up, we had an officer go, she was on the news. On the news. This was public knowledge on the news for saying racial slurs on Facebook and TikTok after I filed a complaint on her. This was and then she was fired from 2 police departments for this very same thing. She was working the same time Gowans was working. So who is the honest person when somebody does something wrong? I'm not saying we don't need police, because we do. We do. The problem is we need honest police. If Jimmy steals a Kit Kat from the corner store, then Jimmy deserved to go to jail, but Jimmy don't deserve to die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We need systems that will hold them accountable. And I know like accountability is like the buzzword right now, but literally like in practice, because the problem is that Gowans has not been held accountable. This person, his little friends that have been harassing you have not been held accountable. Everyone who has been in your life and in our lives, right? Like doing things that are absolutely against the law, they're not held accountable. In fact, they're shielded by the law. Which is why politics is super important, even if you think that it's rigged, because in a lot of ways it is because of the people who are operating it. Absolutely. But it is important for us to know what's going on, because the letter of the law is the letter of the law. And if you look into it, like there's so much discretion given to judges, given to police, like given to the judicial system overall. Like there is so much discretion that they can skate through, things that will have us hemmed up for the rest of our lives. Even like in death, those things just differ from an actual, civilian to someone who's a part of the system. Like we absolutely need accountability in that way that doesn't happen. So I'll switch from that. I'm thinking about you as a person and how they may see you, and why they think that they can just come down on you and bully and terrorize you. And what comes to my mind now, this is just me speculating, that they think that you're alone and you can't defend yourself. Clearly you can defend yourself, as they're learning. And it feels like you're not necessarily an alone person, but you clearly been, been handling yourself. And it makes me think about us as a community, and what it looks like for us to be supportive of each other, to look out for each other, so folks know, if you come for one of us, you coming for all of us. Like, it ain't gonna happen. And so, like, what does that look like for you specifically? Like, what does it look like for people to surround you and be supportive of you? Because Pitcairn ain't but a minute long. So, like, what does it look like to make sure that you aren't, that they know that you ain't you ain't alone, that they won't notice about that, but also for people to support and surround you so that you're safe and resource, your family is safe and resource, and you're able to move forward with your life without this being a constant thing.
In the beginning, I didn't have a lot of support. I was wrong in everybody's eyes. Allie just do too much. Allie don't know how to just not. And I even lost my business partner, you know what I mean, who thought I actually did this crime. Like, and that hurt, you know what I'm saying? Because people that I thought that knew my character good enough, started to question my character. And it kind of just made me start questioning my friendships. And I was alone for a long time. And then it just seemed like when the right people, it's just like I just had to teach my little sister, man, just because they're your friends don't mean they believe the same thing as you. Okay. Like, and that's one thing that I have learned, you know what I mean? It's like people was my friends, but they don't believe the same thing as me. That you have to surround yourself around people who are like. People who can just see and call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm getting support from people now that I didn't even think liked me. People who never said not one word to me. People that I probably talked about, like she's mean or blah, blah, blah. Just random reach out to my inbox have meant the most. Like people be like, keep your head up. People checking on me, people making sure that I'm not walking outside out here in the dark by myself. It feels empowering. And that's why I be laughing about everything that happened, is because y'all could cut up as much as you want because now people see you. I'm sorry, it got kind of dark because it's raining out here. But now people see you and now people can see what's happening. And I'm glad that I'm not invisible. So, like, I used to call my dad and cry because I felt like if something happened to me, nobody was going to know what happened to me. This town is so small that anything could happen. I could walk down the alley and just disappear. I could be taken to jail and not make it to jail. And I make sure I go out of my way to tell people I don't want to hurt myself. I would never run away from my friends or my family. Now I know that people know if I don't show up tomorrow, they got questions for y'all. Somebody's going to ask about me. I'm not invisible no more. Because when I was going to jail and I was in those handcuffs, I felt invisible. I felt like, why can't nobody see what's happening? When I couldn't afford a lawyer and I was out here begging lawyers to like, just help me. Just do anything. Tell me what to say, anything. When I was begging, nobody was hearing me out, but it means a lot that people hear me out now.
Sorry, I had to grab my charger. Or
But yeah, that's all. Anybody who at all gives me a virtual hug at this point in my life, I just like literally want them to know that it counts, it is appreciated, and I be needing all that, because there's been days I just have wanted to throw the towel in. Like, I have a sick child, and this is a lot in the middle of COVID. Every time I go to court, that's another 30 days I have to go without seeing my child. Every time it's just like, I was overwhelmed to the point where I was having to reach out to the suicide crisis hotline because I really felt like my life was ruined and I was never going to get out of this black paper bag that they had tied a knot around, and I felt like I was in there just suffocating. But a hole got popped in the bag, and I have air now.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful in so many ways. Like your story is very powerful, you're very powerful, but I also feel like you're such a vessel. Because so many people deal with like very similar things, right? Like being erased, like being silenced, not having a voice, like in having that fear of like if something happens to me, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna care. I'm just gonna fall off the face of the earth and no one's gonna know about it. Because you've been
Do you
erased.
know how scary it is to find out after the fact? Like when that cop laughed at my daughter on Facebook, do you know how scared I was thinking that I have literally been in these other police officers' presence, thinking that I was safe. And in actuality, I was far from it. It's just like you don't know who you're around. You don't know who you encounter. You don't know. But now they know.
And you should feel safe with your public safety officers. Like you should feel safe with the police. And it's a shame that that's so often not the case, you know, and Pitcairn ain't bigger than a minute, you know, so like having one officer that you don't feel safe with is a lot. Having multiple is just a lack of safety. It's just a lack of safety. I'm not sure if anybody knows. I feel like I know this, but I don't want to speak incorrectly. But I'm sure there are ways to report those officers. So just like they are calling CYF, I'm sure like, you know, EEOC can be called and other, you know, some sort of system to at least put them on paper. So if anyone is aware of what does it look like, especially in like smaller boroughs like Pitcairn, what can be done not only by Allyson, but by our greater community. You know, it's beautiful to send that love and that support for her. And also, if you have a minute out of your day, so many things are virtual.
Well, usually you're supposed to take the complaints to the mayor. You're supposed to go to your mayor. However, this is the same mayor that yells at Black children outside for coloring on the sidewalk with chalk because, and I quote, today it's chalk, tomorrow it's graffiti. So yeah, I don't know who to take the complaint to because the mayor is also the same person who sent the complaint in about my business to get it searched. You're part of the problem, sis. I don't know who to call. I don't, and I've asked this a lot of times. And so somebody got the answer for me. I promise you, I want all of the answers. Like, I don't care who I got to write, text, email. I'll take it all.
Well, if anyone does have answers for her, please definitely. Because what we definitely want to do is make sure that Allyson, her children, her family is safe. And also like the people, Black people specifically in Pitcairn are safe. And right now it does not sound like that is the case at all, you know, and it's known that that's not the case at all. So anything that, any information, any support, if you can make calls, definitely do so, but definitely reach out to Allyson because she's been fighting for her life and fighting for us at the very same time for over a year now. Allyson, is there, so it's been sometimes a little bit longer of a show, but all of this was very necessary. So we're going to wind down. Is there anything else about your story that you feel is important for people to know? Anything else that you want to add today?
Because my child. Okay. I actually just want to say for anybody, like I said, that has supported me or just any form of support, I really appreciate it, like more than y'all know. And although we're talking about some people, there has been people who have spoke up and told the truth. And that's even more important. People who, you know, for legal reasons, like we said, we can't say who, but people who were in high positions that knew that I was being wrong, speaking up. and making this an even playing field for me, because I felt like it was an uphill battle and I was on the bottom. So, like, all the encouragement, it just pushes me every day to just go a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. Like, and I can't say how many times I appreciate every minute, every second of it. I just appreciate you.
Thank you so much for taking your time. Someone did ask, what's the mayor's name in Pitcairn?
Oh, her name is Mayor Betsy, and she actually holds the record right now. This was just a big news article for being the oldest mayor. The oldest mayor, yeah. The oldest mayor.
I'm not sure what to do with that title.
I think she's 89 or something now? Yeah, the oldest mayor.
Okay, so Beck T is her name?
Yeah, her name is Betsy. Her last name, I'm not quite sure if it's like Slivico. But literally, if you type in Pitcairn, PA, and mayor in Google, all the news articles will pop up about, how she's like, oldest mayor.
Got you. So, we're in the age of social media and the World Wide Web. So check out, Pitcairn Mayor, and she will pop up. I want to thank you again for being you and coming on and sharing your story today. Like, super powerful. And I feel like a lot of folks needed to hear it, not only for, the purpose of pouring into you and supporting you, but your story is so many other people's story. And so, like, to have that encouragement of, like, for one, you can definitely defend yourself. You can definitely protect yourself, and don't let anybody intimidate you into thinking that you cannot. But also, like, right is right, wrong is wrong. Like, you can absolutely walk in your power, and you will be resourced and provisioned to do so. So I just really appreciate everything about you. Like, and you're just a ball of energy. So I appreciate that.
And just in case anyone doesn't know, the law library is totally free. You're allowed to go there. Mm-hmm. Can nobody stop you from getting any of those books? It doesn't even matter if you owe the library Carnegie money. You can still go read the law books for free.
Boom. Boom. Now that's a resource in and of itself. The name of your company is Self-Made Print Company, and it's 213 Center Avenue.
Yes, it is.
15140. So if you need shirts made, you can go and check her out. Definitely support this Black business. Put some money on her books in that way.
Please, I insist. I'll make y'all whatever shirt you want. I promise.
And then also her Cash App is, take that down, Mom0132. So definitely show her some love. Like, she's been fighting for over a year now for her own freedom and safety. So if there's anything that you can do just to say hello, say, like, show your love, show your support, please definitely do that, because she absolutely deserves it. This is a young woman that is fighting for herself and everybody else. And let me say that one more time. She has been fighting for herself and for everybody else, because she didn't have to do any of this. Like, she could have started her business, kept her head down, kept her mouth closed, and then moved about the world as Gowans moved about our community, harassing folks or whatever, God knows what else, like, and then other officers doing God knows what else, So, like, this is a young woman who stepped out, her own comfort to make sure that we're all safe, as well as her family and her young daughters. So I really, really appreciate you, Allyson. I'm hoping to see you around. I will be in touch to see what it is that we can figure out and what we can do to make sure that you are supported. And I encourage everybody to do the exact same thing.
I thank you. I appreciate y'all for having me and giving me a chance to share my story. I really do.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And that will do it for today. Major shout out to Allyson. As y'all can see why I was so excited about this episode. Like, this young woman is a ball of fire, a ball of light. Just very, very smart, tenacious, like, and on top of her game with all of the things that, are important in this world. So I really appreciate her. Please do reach out, support her. If you got $5 on the Cash App, go and do that. Like, whatever it is that you need or want to do, go on and do that, and make sure this young woman is supported. More importantly, make sure that she is surrounded, covered with love, safety, and protection. She is not alone, and that needs to be known by Pitcairn Police. That needs to be known about by everybody, that this child is not alone, because none of us are alone, nor should we any of us feel like we are alone. So we'll end it there. As a reminder, every week, tomorrow, Monday, is Today's News, Changing Our Narrative. It features every Monday at 7 p.m. on Facebook, at QK Productions, on YouTube at Black News 325, and they can also be found on Twitter at Black News 325. Again, if you are a person who is having a difficult time with rent or utilities, the rent relief program is still open. It'll be open until December. They can cover up to 15 months worth of rent and utilities. And so if you would like to apply, you can do so at covidrentrelief.alleghenycounty.us, or you can check us out at the drop-in center in McKeesport. It's 335 Fifth Avenue. I don't know why I won't change that, but it's 335 Fifth Avenue. I will have that changed by next week. McKeesport, PA 15132. We're open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on most days. On Thursdays, it's 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. 12 p.m. is when we open on Thursdays, not 10 a.m. So if you show up at 10 a.m., you will be waiting until 12 p.m. to get in. And that'll do it for today's show. Yeah, have a good one.